literacy issue from us, because if you're a 5-year-old kid, you're still young enough. You're still in your early formative years. And if you start listening to Who Smarted and you didn't necessarily get exposed to as much language as you might have at home for whatever reason, this is a show that will help you make up some of that literacy gap, because you're hearing words, concepts, and all of that in context in a way that we think will basically make your curiosity something palpable and something you can act on. So
that's the other side of the rope. So if you talk about that reading rope, the language comprehension, you are addressing all of that in this podcast. So it is certainly part of learning to read and being a skilled reader. All of it. They're listening to sentences, expanded sentence structure, the vocabulary that comes with learning. And you said something before about homeschool parents listening to your show and then getting into the topic in a deeper way, as well as schools. It made me think, Jerry, of something I used to do when I was a classroom teacher. We paired books. So we would start with a picture book and then get into the harder book. So it was kind of like a way to level the playing field with background knowledge, where instead of saying, well, who knows about this? And you have two hands that pop up because maybe they knew. Once you read the picture book, they all were starting at a point where they could all feel like, I know something about this.
That's awesome.
And then go deeper into the topic with the harder read. And that's kind of like what you're saying with your podcast. It's leveling a playing field for people who might not have been exposed to certain topics or have very little knowledge about it. And now when they get into it, they feel like, oh, I have some of this vocabulary. I have some knowledge.
Yeah. Faith, I think you're onto something, because I think that a lot of teachers, like before they begin their units in literacy, are like, okay, how do I build that background knowledge? How do I introduce this module? And now they could go into Jerry's, I think there's like a menu on your website or something, or or on the podcast, and now they could find, okay, this is going to tie into it. And it sometimes doesn't come down to like reinventing the wheel and making a million more slides. Sometimes the listening experience before you begin a certain module on a certain topic, that is such a unique and powerful way to introduce a topic. And like Faith was saying, either, kind of level the playing field, or for some kids, take it even further. And I think the other important